were 3 steps away from everything you ever wanted. 3 steps. And then you destroyed it. With your own hands. Again. Stop lying to yourself about what happened. Stop calling it bad timing, bad luck, or circumstances beyond your control. You know exactly what you did. You sabotaged that relationship just as it was getting serious. You abandoned that project right before completion. You created chaos precisely when everything was finally going well. And the most twisted part, you felt relieved. Relieved to be back in your comfortable prison. Relieved that no one expected anything from you anymore. Relieved that you could go back to being safely invisible, safely mediocre, safely nothing. But here's what's eating you alive right now. Deep down, in that dark corner where you refuse to look, you know you did it on purpose. You know there's something inside you that craves greatness, and yet fears it so deeply that it will burn down everything you build just to remain small. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this self-destruction over a century ago. He called it the corruption of the will to power, the fundamental force that should drive you toward becoming more than you are, but instead turns against you like a cancer. You're not failing because you lack potential. You're failing because your potential terrifies you. And until you face this truth, you'll keep destroying every good thing that comes your way. The force within you that both creates and destroys. Listen carefully. Right now, as you're reading this, there's a war happening inside you. Nietzsche identified this battle when he wrote, "What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man." But he wasn't talking about power over others. He was talking about something far more dangerous. Something you've been running from your entire life. The power to become who you truly are. The power to shed every limitation, every excuse, every comfortable lie you've been hiding behind. The power to stand up and take what's yours instead of begging for scraps from a world that doesn't respect weakness. Look at your life right now. Really look. Where are you playing small? Where are you compromising? Where are you whispering, "This is enough," when your soul is screaming for more? You've been brainwashed, programmed from childhood to believe that wanting more makes you greedy, that ambition is arrogance, that putting yourself first is selfish. Every time your natural will to power tried to express itself, through assertiveness, through desire, through the simple act of saying, "I deserve better," the world crushed it. And you let them. You internalized their fear of your power until it became your own. Now, whenever you get close to breakthrough, that corrupted will to power activates like a virus in your system. It whispers poisonous thoughts. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve this. This won't last. Something bad is about to happen. And you listen. You always listen. Because you've become addicted to your own limitations. Being a victim is easier than being responsible. Failing safely is more comfortable than succeeding dangerously. Your self-sabotage isn't protecting you from pain. It's ensuring it. But why? Why would you actively work against your own greatness? Because success would require you to transform, to murder every small, safe version of yourself that others learned to love, because it threatened no one. To become someone unfamiliar, someone who might be judged, criticized, or worse, someone who might actually matter. Nietzsche understood this when he wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. You fear this death more than you desire rebirth. And so you remain trapped, caught between what you are and what you could be, slowly suffocating in the gap." If this content is cutting deep, click the subscribe button. Your future self will thank you. The psychology of your own betrayal. Let me tell you exactly what happened last time. You started strong. You were motivated, focused, unstoppable. People noticed. They started expecting things from you. They started treating you differently. And that's when the panic set in. That's when you started arriving late, making excuses, creating drama, finding reasons why now isn't the right time, until everyone stopped expecting anything from you at all. And you felt, what? Relief? Shame? Or both twisted together into a familiar ache that you've been carrying for years? This isn't coincidence. This isn't weakness. This is your unconscious mind fighting against change, even positive change, because transformation triggers the most primal fear response, the fear of psychological death. Your self-sabotage is a misguided protector, trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. It creates obstacles where none exist. It finds reasons to quit. It manufactures crises, relationship conflicts, and financial emergencies precisely when you're about to level up. But here's the brutal truth Nietzsche recognized. This protection is killing you slowly. In Beyond Good and Evil, he writes about how the thought of escape, even destructive escape, provides comfort when facing the terrifying prospect of becoming great. Your self-sabotage is that escape route. When success looms too close, when the possibility of transcending your current limitations becomes too real, you pull the emergency brake. You create a familiar crisis because familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar power. Think about it. How many times have you been right on the edge of breakthrough only to suddenly feel exhausted, confused, overwhelmed? How many times have you quit your diet on day 29? Abandoned your morning routine just as it was becoming automatic? Picked a fight with someone you love just when things were getting too good? Your body knows when you're lying to yourself. That crushing weight in your chest when opportunity knocks? That's not anxiety. That's your soul suffocating under the weight of your own cowardice. The stories you tell yourself are masterpieces of self-deception. I'll start when things settle down. I need to learn more first. I'm waiting for the right moment. But Nietzsche would call this what it is: the language of the slave, the vocabulary of someone who has given up their fundamental right to become great. And here's the cruelest part. You're not just betraying yourself, you're betraying everyone who believes in you, every person who saw your potential and invested their hope in your transformation. You're teaching them not to trust their instincts about greatness when they see it. The warning signs: how you murder your own dreams. Number 1. The physical rebellion. Your body is screaming at you right now. Pay attention to how you physically react when real opportunity appears. That heaviness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that sudden headache or exhaustion that materializes from nowhere. This isn't random. This isn't stress. This is your unconscious defenses mobilizing against growth. Your nervous system treating success like a threat to survival. Nietzsche understood the body's wisdom when he wrote, "There is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy." Your body knows you're betraying yourself. It knows you're running from your destiny. And it's trying to wake you up through physical symptoms that you keep ignoring, medicating, or explaining away. Notice how your breathing changes when someone compliments your work. How your shoulders tense when opportunities are presented. How you suddenly need to use the bathroom right before important calls. These aren't coincidences. They're your body's rebellion against your soul's cowardice. Number 2. The gravity of greatness. Notice how simple tasks become impossibly heavy when they're connected to your growth. Suddenly, writing an email becomes overwhelming. Making a phone call feels terrifyingly complex. Tasks that would normally take minutes stretch into hours of procrastination and dread. Nietzsche called this the spirit of gravity, a psychological heaviness that descends specifically when you're moving toward authenticity. The more important something is to your real development, the more obstacles your mind creates. This is not laziness. This is resistance. And the intensity of your resistance is directly proportional to the importance of what you're avoiding. Watch how effortlessly you can scroll social media for hours, but can't seem to spend 10 minutes on the project that could change your life. Your energy is infinite for distraction, non-existent for transformation. This isn't an accident. It's sabotage disguised as circumstance. Number 3. The crisis manufacturing machine. When you're on the verge of breakthrough, do strange emergencies suddenly appear? Do relationships mysteriously deteriorate? Do financial problems, health scares, or family dramas demand your immediate attention? This is not bad luck. This is orchestrated distraction. Your unconscious mind is remarkably creative when it comes to generating crises that justify abandoning your aspirations. It will burn down your entire life just to avoid the terrifying possibility that you might actually succeed. I've seen people literally make themselves sick before job interviews for positions they desperately wanted. I've watched relationships implode the week before wedding ceremonies. I've witnessed entrepreneurs sabotage their own product launches with manufactured emergencies that required their immediate attention. Your mind would rather create real suffering than risk unknown success. It would rather guarantee failure than face the possibility that you might have to change, grow, and become someone you don't yet recognize. Number 4, the success allergy. Here's the darkest sign of all. Pay attention to how you feel when things are going well. Do you experience a strange emptiness? A nagging certainty that something will go wrong? Do you find yourself thinking, "I don't deserve this," or "This is too good to be true"? This discomfort with success is proof that your will to power has been poisoned by fear. You've become so addicted to struggle that actually achieving your goals feels threatening rather than fulfilling. You've trained yourself to prefer familiar suffering to unfamiliar joy. You would rather remain who you are, with all your limitations and pain, than transform into someone you don't yet recognize. Success feels foreign in your body because you've spent years conditioning yourself to expect less. When good things happen, you experience them as anomalies that need to be corrected rather than natural outcomes that need to be celebrated. Number 5, the identity protection racket. Here's a pattern you probably haven't noticed yet. You sabotage yourself most aggressively when success would require you to change your story about who you are. If you've built your identity around being the struggling artist, breakthrough success threatens that narrative. If you've defined yourself as the person who never gets the breaks, opportunity becomes an existential crisis. If you've made your limitations part of your charm, transcending them feels like betrayal. Your self-sabotage isn't just protecting you from failure, it's protecting your familiar identity from transformation. And sometimes, clinging to a story about yourself that no longer serves you feels safer than discovering who you might become without it. The root of your self-destruction. Here's the question that will haunt you. If your will to power is natural, essential, the very core of your being, why has it turned against you? The answer will make you angry. Because you were taught to fear your own power. From childhood, every time you expressed your natural drive to grow, to want more, to take up space, you were punished. Not with violence, but with something worse. Withdrawal of love, disappointment. The message that good people don't want too much, don't demand too much, don't become too much. You were domesticated, trained like an animal to suppress your most fundamental nature. Man's maturity, Nietzsche wrote, consists in having found again the seriousness one had as a child. At play. Watch any child. They don't doubt their right to pursue what excites them. They don't apologize for wanting more. They embody pure will to power without shame or self-sabotage. But then the world intervened. Parents, teachers, society, all conspired to convince you that your natural drive toward greatness was dangerous, selfish, arrogant. And you believed them. You internalized these poison messages so deeply, they became invisible, automatic, unconscious. Now, when your true nature tries to express itself through ambition or desire, these internalized voices activate to shut you down. This is why you sabotage yourself. Not because you want to fail, but because at some level you believe you must fail to remain good, to remain safe, to remain loved. Nietzsche called this slave morality, the inversion of natural values that transforms strength into vice and weakness into virtue. You've been infected with the belief that your will to power, your fundamental drive to become more, is something to be ashamed of. But what if they lied to you? What if your power isn't something to fear but something to embrace? What if the real tragedy isn't in your failures, but in how small you've allowed yourself to become? Think about the messages you received growing up. Don't get too big for your britches. Pride comes before a fall. Money is the root of all evil. Nice people don't. Show off. Each of these seemingly innocent phrases was programming you to fear your own greatness. They weren't protecting you from arrogance. They were installing internal governors to ensure you'd never threaten anyone with your full potential. And now, decades later, you're still following these unconscious commands, sabotaging yourself on autopilot. The deeper betrayal. How you abandon your authentic desires. But there's another layer to this betrayal that cuts even deeper. You don't just sabotage your success, you sabotage your desires themselves. Somewhere along the way, you learned that wanting what you want was dangerous. So you began the most insidious form of self-betrayal, convincing yourself you didn't actually want what you wanted. You wanted to be seen, so you told yourself you preferred being invisible. You wanted recognition, so you convinced yourself you didn't care about acknowledgement. You wanted wealth, so you adopted beliefs about money being evil. You wanted love, so you decided you were better off alone. This wasn't wisdom. This was preemptive surrender. Nietzsche saw through this self-deception when he wrote, "Many are stubborn in pursuit of the path they have chosen, few in pursuit of the goal." You've become stubborn in pursuit of paths that lead nowhere because you're terrified of pursuing goals that might actually matter. Your self-sabotage isn't just about destroying what you build. It's about never building toward what you actually want in the first place. You sabotage yourself by choosing safe goals that don't threaten your comfortable identity, rather than pursuing the dangerous dreams that would require you to transform. How many times have you settled for the realistic option? How many times have you chosen the path that required less of you rather than more? How many times have you convinced yourself that what you really wanted was impossible, impractical, or unworthy? This is the deepest betrayal, abandoning your authentic desires before you even attempt to pursue them. The path to reclaiming your power. Stop. Right now, stop fighting your self-sabotage. Stop judging it. Stop trying to overcome it through willpower or positive thinking. Nietzsche understood something profound. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different. This doesn't mean celebrating your self-destructive patterns. It means understanding them as essential messengers pointing toward what you most fear and therefore what you most need to confront. When you feel the urge to abandon a project before completion, don't berate yourself. Ask, what am I afraid would happen if I actually succeeded? What identity would I have to sacrifice? What responsibility would I have to assume? Your self-sabotage isn't your enemy. It's a misguided guardian trying to protect you from imaginary threats. The only way to transform it is to honor its intention while showing it a better way to serve you. This is where true self-mastery begins. Not in conquering others, but in becoming sovereign of your own inner kingdom. The 4-step transformation process. First, map your betrayal patterns. Be ruthlessly honest. Do you create relationship drama before commitment? Do you get sick before important presentations? Do you pick fights when things are going well? Make a complete inventory of how you specifically sabotage yourself. Don't judge these patterns. Study them like a scientist. Your self-sabotage has been your unconscious strategy for survival. Understanding it is the first step to transforming it. Write them down. All of them. The subtle ones and the obvious ones. The patterns you're ashamed of and the ones you try to rationalize. This inventory is sacred work. Treat it with the reverence it deserves. Second, excavate the hidden fear. For each pattern, dig until you find the terror underneath. What are you really afraid would happen if you succeeded? Don't settle for surface answers like fear of failure. Keep asking, what would that mean? Until you hit the core fear that makes you physically uncomfortable. Maybe you fear that success would alienate you from family who haven't achieved similar heights. Maybe you fear that becoming who you're capable of being would make your past decisions seem foolish. Maybe you fear that greatness would make you a target for criticism, judgment, or attack. These fears aren't irrational. They're based on real possibilities, but they're also prison walls disguised as protection. Third, reconnect with your authentic desires. Before you can stop sabotaging yourself, you need to remember what you're actually working toward, not what you think you should want, not what others expect you to want, what you actually, genuinely, authentically desire. This might be the hardest step because you've spent years convincing yourself that your real desires don't matter, but they do matter. They matter more than anything because they're the fuel that powers your will to power. Sit quietly and ask yourself, if I could have anything, be anything, become anything, what would I choose? Don't edit your answers. Don't make them practical or realistic. Just listen to what emerges. Fourth, take one sacred step. Choose one specific way you sabotage yourself. Today, this moment, take one small action in the opposite direction. Not because you feel ready, not because you're confident, but because your fear is a compass pointing toward what you most need to do. If you fear visibility, post something online. If you fear commitment, make one small promise and keep it. If you fear completion, finish something tiny but meaningful. This is what Nietzsche meant by courage. The best slayer. Courage which attacks. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's using your fear as fuel to move toward what terrifies you most. The daily practice of power reclamation. Transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice of choosing your authentic nature over your conditioned responses. Every morning, ask yourself, what would I do today if I weren't afraid of my own power? Then, do one thing from that list, no matter how small. Every evening, reflect, where did I betray myself today? Where did I choose comfort over growth? Where did I sabotage my own progress? Not to judge, but to learn. This isn't about perfection. This is about awareness. The moment you become conscious of your self-sabotage patterns, they begin to lose their unconscious power over you. Becoming who you were born to be. Become who you are, Nietzsche commanded. Not who others want you to be, not who you think you should be, who you are beneath the layers of conditioning, compromise, and comfortable lies. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's about excavating who you've always been under the rubble of other people's expectations. It's about allowing your authentic nature to express itself without the distortions of self-sabotage. But here's what they never tell you about transformation. It requires you to disappoint people, to break the unspoken contracts you've made to remain small, to risk being misunderstood, criticized, or rejected by those who benefited from your limitations. The people in your life have grown comfortable with your self-sabotage. They've learned to expect your failures, your excuses, your comfortable mediocrity. When you start changing, when you start succeeding, when you start becoming who you're capable of being, they might not like it. Some will try to pull you back. They'll remind you of past failures. They'll question your motives. They'll suggest you're getting too big for your britches, or forgetting where you came from. This isn't because they're evil. It's because your transformation threatens their own comfortable limitations. Your success forces them to confront their own self-sabotage. Your courage highlights their cowardice. But here's what Nietzsche understood. The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. Your loyalty is not to their comfort. It's to your own authentic becoming. The question Nietzsche poses cuts to the heart of everything. Would you live this exact life, with all its self-sabotage, all its wasted potential, all its comfortable mediocrity, over and over for eternity? Self-sabotage guarantees you'll answer no. It ensures you'll look back with the crushing awareness of what could have been, should have been, would have been, if you'd had the courage to stop betraying yourself, To break this pattern permanently requires a daily practice of conscious choice, choosing your authentic desires over your fears, choosing growth over comfort, choosing the unknown over the familiar, even when every instinct screams for you to retreat. It requires developing what Nietzsche called the spirit of the child, approaching life with innocence, curiosity, and the willingness to begin again without the burden of past failures. The child is innocence and forgetting, a new beginning, a game, a self-propelled wheel, a first movement, a sacred yes, he wrote. This sacred yes is the antidote to self-sabotage. It's the unconditional affirmation of life in all its aspects, including the struggle, the resistance, the inevitable setbacks that come with any meaningful pursuit. The ultimate choice. The choice is yours. Not once, but every moment when you feel the familiar pull towards self-destruction, the temptation to remain safely insignificant rather than risk becoming great. Will you continue murdering your own dreams? Or will you finally have the courage to become dangerous to your own limitations? But understand this, choosing transformation isn't choosing ease. It's choosing difficulty that leads somewhere meaningful rather than difficulty that leads nowhere at all. When you stop sabotaging yourself, you don't eliminate struggle. You transform it from pointless suffering into purposeful challenge. You stop fighting against yourself and start fighting for yourself. This is the ultimate expression of will to power. The power to choose your struggles rather than have them chosen for you by unconscious patterns and inherited limitations. Here's my challenge to you. In the comments below, name one specific way you sabotage yourself. Don't hide behind vague descriptions. Be brutally specific. Your honesty might be exactly what someone else needs to recognize their own pattern and start breaking free. And this is crucial. Commit to taking one action today that directly contradicts that pattern. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, today. Remember Nietzsche's words, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." Find your why. Let it burn through every excuse, every limitation, every comfortable lie you've been telling yourself. Your true self is waiting. Stop making it wait. The war between who you are and who you could become ends when you choose a side. Which side will you choose?